Hello. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the topic of student motivation. Sometimes the blended learning context can cause some challenges in terms of student motivation. It's quite common within the world of blended learning to not have your students physically attending the campus that you work out of. You may have students that are really far away. You might even have international students that you maybe can't even travel to go and visit in the nearby area. And so meeting with your students and really ensuring that they have solid motivation for completing the course and helping them build those time management strategies can be a bit challenging. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of the best practices that my internship school has implemented to help increase student motivation, as well as some of the strategies and best practices that I have started using during this internship as well. So, first of all, I'm going to introduce you to a few of the features on our Moodle pages that are consistently found in every single Moodle course that my internship school offers. This has been a really important part of course development within my internship school because the more similar that Moodle courses are, they become much more accessible to students and much easier to navigate, and it helps to streamline the process and make everything far more efficient. So for example, this is my Social Studies 10-2 course, and you can see right here to the left-hand side that there is a progress bar. And basically what the progress bar does is it helps students to have one visual guide to see how they're progressing through the course at that current moment. When assignments or activities are considered complete, the piece of the progress bar for that assignment will turn green. And if there's some kind of an issue with the assignment or it's been deemed incomplete and needs to be revised, then that section of the progress bar will turn red. So this is a really excellent resource for helping students to just have a really quick visual guide in terms of how they're doing in the course. And it definitely works as a good motivator for students to have that visual cue to gauge how they're moving through their assignments. Announcement boards can also be really helpful. I've recently started adding announcements for things like course completion reminders. So the announcements are helpful for just about anything, but they're especially helpful for sending out those big sweeping reminders that you really want students to be thinking of. So recently, there's been a lot of discussion in my school about checking in with students, seeing how they're progressing. Considering that Christmas break is nearing, we really want to make sure that they are going to meet their completion goals if possible. So all of that effort can definitely be really effective if you're using something like an announcement block. So you can put out an announcement for course completion, remind students of where to find all of the information that they need, encourage them to check their progress bar or their overall course outline and see how things are going. Another feature that we have in every single Moodle course within my internship school is work plans. And these are basically schedules that are designed by the teachers to help students know exactly where they should be each week in order to complete a course within a semester's time. So for example, my social studies work plan takes the form of an Excel spreadsheet. And so you can see here that I have each week of the semester for about 18 weeks. And for all of the units that my students are currently working through, I've added a very specific list of what they should be completing each week in order to stay on track for completing social studies within a semester's time. Uh, A really fantastic best practice I was recently introduced to by a staff member at my school was they put the recordings from their Blackboard classes, they put the link for those recordings right into the work plan, and they also add exit slips. So they might have a recording and then say for this exit slip, fill out a KWL chart about this lesson or fill out this graphic organizer as you review the recording and submit it before moving on to next week's work. It's a fantastic way to not only ensure that students are keeping up with their Blackboard lessons in terms of attendance or viewing the recording, but also through including exit slips, you have fantastic formative assessment opportunities and you're ensuring that your students are frequently referring to the work plan. So if I were to do this course all over again, I would certainly try something like that. It just seems like a brilliant idea. Okay, so those are all of the features in the Moodle course that I wanted to show you. Some other strategies that I have tried outside of Moodle in more of the one-on-one context or when I'm speaking with students in a synchronous lesson is ensuring that I'm using language that really puts the responsibility for course completion back into the student's hands. So asking them, for example, when would you like to finish this course? How do you feel you are progressing? You can really encourage a lot of reflection through using that language. Also, if students are struggling, I find using the term we is much more helpful than starting to use you in terms of it being accusational. So saying, okay, what are we going to do to create a new plan for you to ensure that you can meet your completion goal? I've also reminded students of different options that are out there for time management. I've really come to realize that a lot of students are still learning those skills. So you really have to be willing to take the time to teach your students time management as well. So I've provided students with weekly calendar templates, as well as I've reminded them about Google Calendar, building notifications into their phone. Some teachers in my school are also now using the Remind app, and they're sending out text messages to students to remind them of work plan dates or important aspects of the course. So there are many, many things out there that are available for students. Also, when I was developing my Moodle course, I came to realize that it was really important that I considered how my lessons would function in terms of time for the student. Time functions differently in a traditional setting where you are leading the lesson versus when a student is asynchronously or independently working on the course in their own time. So I've tried to ensure that all of my lessons can be completed within a 50-minute time period. And this pairs really nicely for when I'm having a conversation with a student regarding their weekly schedule, where they're setting aside blocks of time for completing a course, and how my 50-minute lessons can fit into that time. It really provides something far more concrete for the student. For example, you could say, okay, so Monday to Friday, you are working on the course from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. So you should be completing 5 lessons each week. Those are some of the best practices that I've been using for student motivation and some of the other best practices that I have learned recently. I hope this was some helpful information for you. There's certainly a number of opportunities out there to continue increasing student motivation and building student autonomy. But I hope this was a helpful start for you, and we will see you again in the next video.